is the one thing that you hope we fix in the next 6 months, right? As a bank, is there something in the way we measure the economy that we should be looking at differently, and that would also influence the way monetary policy is set?
Well, I think we need a clear fiscal policy, because we had a fiscal policy under Philip Hammond and a rule on borrowing and bringing the deficit down, etc. And everybody knows that that no longer applies. That is no longer operative, should we say. But what we haven't got is anything to take its place. We've got a series of government pronouncements about how they're going to recruit 20,000 policemen and spend $4 billion on schools or whatever. But none of that, from a market point of view, is very helpful unless you know what the overall fiscal framework is. I think the markets are perfectly ready to accept that some fiscal expansion, particularly at a time when the economy is slowing down and the interest rate weapon is out of commission for one reason or another, that some fiscal expansion is perfectly reasonable. But what markets do not like is the idea of an open-ended, a tap that's switched on but with no prospect of when it gets switched off, or no sense of prioritization. Now, I think the current Chancellor, Sajid Javid, understands that pretty well and was supposed to be making a statement this week, but whether that will actually happen is going to get crowded out. But I think some kind of fiscal framework and some certainty about the government's deficit position is what the markets are looking for now.
But this is after we deal with Brexit, right?
Well, yes.
Can the market deal with both?
I think people can see that at the moment, Brexit is crowding out everything. But it won't be long before the government will need to set out its stall, whichever government it is, whether this one or some other one. And that, I think, if that goes on through the autumn with no fiscal framework in place, then I think we would start to see, well, even weaker sterling. I think that's part of the sterling story. People say, well, what's the government going to be borrowing, etc. So I think that's the danger at the moment.